Good evening and welcome to Inside Chippewa Hockey.
Tonight, we're going to cover last weekend's historic win against Oakland and look ahead to what's next.
This is Inside Chippewa Hockey. All right, let's get to it. The Division III Chippewas faced off against MCHC powerhouse Oakland University in a home-and-home series last weekend. We've got the highlights. Last Friday, the Chippewas headed down to Oakland. The Grizzlies started off strong. OU's Kuntz sprints down. It's 3-on-2. He shoots and he scores.
Too many opportunities right in front of the net. You block the puck away, but you got to clear it out of the zone or else they're just going to have a great chance like that.
Now it's Marcinowski, and he nets the third goal for the Grizzlies.
You let the guy walk in right on the doorstep, and the defense had no look or no ISO right on Marcinowski right there. He had a wide open lane to work with, and he's not going to miss.
And Tyrer sets it up to Gator, and he scores.
Same old thing we've said all season long. Gator's got one of the best shots in the entire league. If he gets it on net, it's going in the back of the net.
The Chips are coming in hot. Gleason shoots it from the line, and Tyrer tips it in. The Chips score, closing the gap 3-2.
What you see right there is players who've played together for a long time. Gleason knows where Tyrer is on the ice. Tyrer with the phenomenal hand-eye, Gleason with a great shot, and he gets it within one.
And on to game two. Sutherland finds an open wing to Martin, and he scores.
That's just a simple case of dumping that one in right in front of the net. You find it on the doorstep, you just got to get your stick on it. It's going to find its way through.
And Kuntz has the puck, sees an opening in the net. Jesko tries to stop him, but he scores.
Dictionary definition of a one-timer right there. Goaltender's looking left. You just got to get a clean pass off on the puck and get it over to your man on the other side, and you're going to have a wide open net.
Dalton Sutherland flies through the neutral zone and gets one past a Grizzly. Goal for CMU.
This is almost embarrassingly easy for Dalton Sutherland. One of the best scorers in the entire league, and you leave him wide open with three men behind him. You can't allow that from a team like Oakland who wants to compete.
Martin steals it away, passes to Nate Allgaier, and the Chips score.
Almost too easy right there for Nate Allgaier. He's one of the best scorers on this team, and right there, you let him walk in through the circle once again. He goes upstairs, and he gets himself a hat trick.
What a big win for the D3 team last weekend, Sean. Now we're 2 months into this season. What does last Saturday's win mean for the team?
Well, it means that they've improved a lot. They've changed themselves as a team, and Oakland's obviously a team that's down this season. But Central Michigan took care of them handedly on Saturday night, and they were in the game the entire time on Friday. You get that in a 3-2 comeback, nearly completed. Yeah, they lost by a goal, but still on the weekend, they outscored their opponents by a score of 10-7.
And Friday compared to Saturday, what did the team do differently to come out on top?
It just seems like they were playing their style of hockey. And that's the most important thing that CMU can do in game twos like that. We either see those big adjustments going into the weekend or coming into that second game of the weekend. And usually Central Michigan has not been very good on day twos in these series against MCHC teams. But against Oakland, they started off with the downside. They started off seeing what kind of adjustments they needed to make. And they were able to make them. And not only were they able to make them, they were able to make them in a way that helped them dominate a team in Oakland that they could have been able to sweep on this weekend. And we saw that. We didn't know what this Oakland versus CMU matchup was going to be going in. But now when we come out of it, they say hindsight's 20/20. Central Michigan is one of the best teams in the MCHC. They're definitely a top three. And if they played Oakland again in a series, they would be able to come up with a sweep.
How did last year's series against Oakland compare to this year's?
You see the big dynamic that we talked about on last week's web exclusive episode. This Oakland team has changed so much. McCardle is their big dog now. Their big scorers would be Marcinowski, and then it kind of gets into a jumble because you don't have a Zach Massa. You're missing most of your top scorers, either because of them not playing this year or maybe for any other reason. Now, their head coach said, yeah, we're down right now. We expect to get it back together by the time second semester rolls around, but who knows how big of a hole they're going to be in before that second semester comes around. We're not trying to dig on Oakland. We're just saying they're a completely different team than we saw last year, and Central Michigan was able to find their advantage in that and take advantage of it.
Now, it was a big weekend for the Chippewas. This is a tough question, but Who stood out to you, Sean?
Nate Allgaier did not have the best weekend of hockey last week, but this past weekend, he showed off like the scorer that we know he is. He had himself 4 goals in this series against Oakland, a team that he's played for years. And going into this series, he had the 1 goal on Friday. Came up with a hat trick against them on Saturday's game in that big 8-4 historic win for him. Gator definitely stood out as the player of the weekend. He was a dynamic player the entirety of the series.
Now, he was part of the team through all their struggles. How big of a win was this for him?
I think personally, going back to the national semifinals game 2 years ago, being eliminated by them last year in the MCHC regional finals, I think for him personally, being able to have such a dynamic performance against Oakland in what could be his final year, I think that meant the world to him. And I think especially getting a hat trick was one of the sweetest things that he definitely could have seen as a player.
And he played for CMU for years, but now you can find him behind the bench. Lindsay Lewis and Nick D'Alessandro spoke with assistant coach Ryan Morse about his new role.
Hockey has opened up so many opportunities for me that it's kind of unreal to think of it.
It was 2015 when senior forward Ryan Morse began his hockey career as a Chippewa.
And it's a goal for Ryan Morse.
I was excited to play that year and go from there.
After a year and a half of play, Morse decided to walk away from the ice.
My mom had a cervical fusion in her neck on the 1st of December. 2 weeks later, unfortunately, she broke her leg getting out of bed. She was kind of in neck brace, in a cast, immobile, and I was just like, I can't leave. So I ended up taking some time off.
Following 2 years away from the game, a chance to return to hockey fell right in his lap.
Gleason was actually one that texted me about 7 weeks before semester started. It was like, hey, we have a new coach, think about it. I was like, okay, like now I'm definitely interested.
With a newfound possibility, his thoughts of returning became a reality.
Once I started preparing for it, doing the workouts for it, getting on ice back at home, I wanted nothing else but to play hockey again.
Morse was back and the team was off to their hottest start since 2015 when they made a run in ACHA Nationals.
The Chippewas are heading to the national tournament in Grand Rapids.
It was 3 straight wins to start off the season, but after Game 4, Morse's hockey career would never be the same.
Northern Illinois, I got hit weird along the boards. My shoulder ended up subluxing, went out, went back, right back in, and it felt not normal.
Morse played despite the pain and returned at game time the following day.
It was okay, and then I just got bumped trying to tie the opponent, and it just popped. It was back to square one. Like I couldn't even move my arm. I was like, yeah, fortunately, I'm done.
Morse's season and career on the ice was over. With a history of injuries in the past, this was a battle Morse no longer could fight.
In order for me to play, I would need surgery on both shoulders to be completely healthy again. And since I've already done that once and ended up re-tearing it, it's just surgery isn't worth it to me.
But he came to find out there's much more to hockey than just being a player.
There's always statisticians that are needed. There's always strength and conditioning coaches that are needed, athletic trainers. So many opportunities in the game of hockey that you can always find something that you want to do within it.
He hasn't stepped away from the team, and he's established a new role in the program.
I'm just kind of that in-between of a coach and a player, and I don't mind it. It's a good fit for what I'm trying to do right now anyways.
With a new role comes a different perspective.
Before it'd be like more positional, like where can you go to help me out? Now I'm looking at it as, okay, what can I do to help you?
Approaching mid-season and CMU in a comfortable spot in the MCHC, Morse is doing his part. He and the team have only one goal in mind.
Oh, we gotta win. Like that's it. It's gotta be a ring. There's definitely that possibility. It's just everybody has to buy in, and we definitely have the chance. I think we're pretty good.
Lindsay Lewis, Chippewa Hockey Network.
All right, Sean, this weekend the Chips face Miami University here at Ice Arena. What can we expect to see?
This should be another easy series for Central Michigan. They're undefeated in non-conference play. Central Michigan should be able to go into this series after a very tough matchup against a good Oakland team. And this should be more of not so much a trying series and not so much an Augustana series, but somewhere in between the two. I think Central Michigan can definitely have a chance to see Trevor Whitehead in this series. I think you're going to be able to see more players who we don't see as much, like a Jake Schott, be able to go out there and get some chances as a forward position, get themselves in position and get some scoring opportunities. And I think Miami, this is going to be a much easier series for the Chippewas. It was scheduled very late, but Central Michigan's going to be able to come up with an easy 2 wins out of this one, I think.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, Sean will chat with ACHA women's expert Kyle Rossi.
like me, when you have some downtime, you like to play video games and watch anime. Though, you may not have anyone to talk to about these two hobbies. If that's the case, check out MHTV's brand new show, Downtime. My friends and I get together, have guests on, and we talk about gaming topics. We also discuss the latest anime being shown this season. So, if you have some downtime, come spend it with us at 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Charter Channel 189.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to Inside Chippewa Hockey. Nearly a month after their season opening series, CMU Women's ACHA D2 is finally back in action as they look to hand the 6-0 Adrian Bulldogs their first loss of the season. Here to help preview this long-anticipated matchup via phone is Kyle Rossi of Club Hockey Sandwich, the online leader in ACHA women's coverage. Kyle, thanks for coming aboard. Before we dive into the series, what is the relationship between Club Hockey Sandwich and the teams you cover?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I don't know about that online leader stuff, but I do appreciate it. Club Hockey Sandwich is just an interesting project that I started. I'm with Penn State's women's team. I make no secret about that. It's in my bio. Some people think I'm trying to hide it, but it's in my bio. Just look at it. But I kind of started off with ACHA women's hockey is just a world I'm very passionate about, and kind of started that account as just a way to vent about everything without bothering everybody on my regular account. And soon enough, people started to follow it and seem to have fun with it, and it's just kind of escalated and built. And I think this is what the third season I've been doing it. So it's a lot of fun. I love getting to know all the teams across the ACHA and interact with all the players and teams.
CMU starts off their season with a split against now D1 Aquinas. This is such a small sample size, especially considered an Adrian team is 6-0. What do you think a month off to prepare following a tough split does for Central Michigan?
Well, the first thing I know is they better be healthy and they better have their homework done, first of all. But I think it's tough because I think anytime you go a month between games, you're just itching to get that. You're on the ice for practice and everything else, but you just want to hit somebody, not hit too hard in women's hockey, but you want to get back on the ice against a jersey with a different color, and that's always a little bit tough because sometimes you can, build it up so much in your head that you're maybe a little bit over anxious and outthinking yourself. But I think in the case of a young team like CMU, that you're looking at that as an extra opportunity. Coaches never feel like they have enough time with their teams. A young team, a young program, you just get that much more time to install your systems, work on some fundamentals, and just have your team ready to go as good as they can possibly be for what should be a really interesting and huge game for them.
Aside from the obvious answer of the Adrian hockey pedigree, what's factored into the Bulldogs' phenomenal start to this season?
I do think you have to talk about the Adrian hockey pedigree a little bit because look, Adrian's a school with about 2,500 students. They have teams in every ACHA division. They have 2 NCAA Division III teams, and they're all good at that level, at their respective levels. So it's just crazy to me. And I tried to Carly Costello, a friend of mine on that Adrian D2 team. I tried to get a little bit of insight what their special sauce was, how they pulled it off, and she kind of gave me the vanilla answer that they have their own on-campus rink. Every team gets their own locker room, and they're treated like varsity teams from the NCAA all the way down to men's D3 and all that kind of stuff. There might be something else there. I think they do a phenomenal job recruiting into Canada. They play a lot of exhibition games against Canadian teams, but specific to this D2 team, the women's D2, their talent level is phenomenal. I would kill to have some, go from Maria Granger, Erica Gilbert, Hannah Chase, May Drizek, the goalie. They have Canadian midget players. They have U.S. Tier 1. There are a lot of D1 teams that would love to have that talent level. The other thing I do think you have to point out a little bit, and this isn't meant as a slight by any stretch, but their games so far have been against Pitt, who themselves is a second-year program. Loyola, Illinois, who's, another building program, and Michigan State, who, as I mentioned, I don't really know what they are right now. So, CMU circling this is a big series, but I think Adrian hopefully is doing it a little bit the other way around, too, because they still have something to prove as well.
This series features a noteworthy coaching battle. The Chippewas are headed by former NCAA D3 hockey player and second-year CMU men's D2 assistant Brittany Knopp. The Bulldogs, meanwhile, are led at the helm by Sam Fallon and assisted by Hannah Griffin, both assistant coaches for the powerhouse Adrian women's D1 team. How much of a factor do the coaches make in this series?
You guys know as well as I do that, the top D2 teams are very competitive with the top D1 teams, and same thing for D3. There's a lot of overlap between the divisions. You can't necessarily say that one's subservient to the other, but it is fantastic on the Adrian side that they can bring in those D1 coaches that know that culture, that know the Adrian way, because Adrian's a team, even their D1 team's still relatively young too, keep in mind, but they've found a lot of success very quickly, and they play a certain style of game that's absolutely infuriating to play against. If you're an opponent, they've beaten a lot of teams that maybe have more on pure talent level than they do, and if that can rub off at all in that young D2 program, then that's great for them. On the CMU side, Coach Knopp is somebody who I don't think that undersized begins to do her justice, but ended up being a contributing player in an NCAA D3 team. She's probably been told no a few times in her life before, but I think that's exactly the kind of player that you want with a young team that has kind of battled through, I'm sure, what's been a little bit of adversity and can teach her team to do the same types of things.
What do the Chippewas need to do to pull off an upset in this series?
Well, I think the thing is, what the Chippewas need to do and what they should do may be two different things. I think, I look at CMU, Macy Barnett, very talented player, had that huge game against Aquinas. I actually saw her play at USA Hockey Nationals back in the spring with the Troy Sting. You also have Jessica Killingback, former Tier 1 player. So in theory, CMU could just pack the house, have those talented players, get them out in transition, and maybe bury a few that way. But, I think in terms of developing your program, I don't know that that's the way to play. You kind of want to try and play as you want to be playing when you're a top team and enhance the talent level where you can. So it's a little bit of a juggling act. I think from Coach Knopp's point of view, you want to keep in mind that this is it's a big series, but it's still an early season series, and you want to think in terms of the long-term best interest of your hockey program and not necessarily put all your chips into the series, because that might imply two different coaching strategies on how you play it. But again, it's not the X's and O's so much as it is the Jimmies and Joes, and CMU certainly has the Jimmies and Joes to keep up in this series for sure.
Now, anyone who follows Club Hockey Sandwich knows you develop a certain kind of friendship with the teams you cover. And recently, Central Michigan has been named your team of the week. What's drawn your interest to the Chippewas?
I think in general I have a very strong attraction to new programs because, that's a situation that I've been around before, and I absolutely fell in love with the players that we had at Penn State that kind of rebooted our program in 2012. So, I see, some of the blood and guts players, you have the talented star players, you have some guys girls that are sort of the people that just kind of keep the program moving administratively and behind the scenes. I look at Stasi Hartman as one of those types of players. Obviously, guys just got the new jerseys; those are phenomenal. So the kind of players like that are the ones that really attract me to a program. I want to see teams that care a little bit about this, and not just ones that are going through and playing beer league in school colors and coasting into retirement. I think CMU is kind of one of those teams for me.
If CMU can pull off a split with Adrian this weekend, do they make the Club Hockey Sandwich top 10?
Hey, put me on the spot there, man. Tell you what. I did promise Liberty this past week that if they beat a Delaware team that's been a perennial contender in D2 for a long time, Liberty is a team that's not all entirely different than CMU, where as good as Liberty is in most of the divisions, their women's D2 team has kind of struggled over the years, but they have much improved talent level, and they pulled off a split with a very strong Delaware team. And I said, hey, if you do that, I'll throw you in the top 10, and we'll see what that top 10 ends up looking like. But I did vote them in with my vote, at least anyway. CMU, you know what? I'll give you guys the same deal. It's that Adrian team's off to a great start. They have a lot of talented players. CMU pulled off an upset. You're in the top 10. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Kyle, thanks for coming on the show and for all of your insight. If you're interested in keeping up with our friends at Club Hockey Sandwich, follow them on Twitter at Clocky Sandwich. We'll step aside, and when we come back, it'll be time for Ashley Kaplan to preview men's D2 as they host Northwestern.
5, 4.
This semester, MHTV presents Nobody Watches Season 3. A show with questionable quality and, more stuff. Nobody Watches Season 3, airing Mondays at 1 and 8 p.m., greeting you with new episodes every other week.
Enroll, we say, we want you to be okay. Enroll, we say, take care of people for goodness sake.
There's a plan for every budget, so don't accept defeat.
Now you can get covered and still
buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
Hey!
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
The world is online, and we're all connected. While there's a lot to explore and discover, we each need to do our part to keep the internet safe. Learn how you can stay safe online at dhs.gov/stopthinkconnect.
Hey, did you hear about Jen?
No, what happened?
She posted something. See?
What was she thinking?
Sharing online is serious business. Visit dhs.gov/stopthinkconnect for tips on how to be safe online.
Something catch your eye? Tonight's gonna be perfect. I can feel it.
Nothing could go wrong.
There's my birthday girl. Did you really expect things to work out?
I just wanted one good night.
Welcome back to Inside Chippewa Hockey. D2 is fresh following a bye week and will face off against Northwestern next weekend. Justin McComas, assistant captain for D2, is alongside me now. After a road split last year, how is the team preparing to face off against Northwestern next weekend?
Well, we have some new practices this week, and we have a new playbook also, so we're trying to get those down, so we'll be ready for this weekend.
The team has many new players this year. How do you think their chemistry is with the team so far?
We're a really tight-knit group. The new guys are all really good, and we're all acclimated with each other, and it's just going really well. Everybody loves each other on and off the ice.
The season has been off to a rough start. What is the team's plan to start improving their season?
Well, we're just going harder at practice. We're going harder in games. We're taking every team. We're not taking them lightly at all. We know who we're playing, and we know we got to come out and compete, and we're going to here very soon.
How have the NOPS coaching techniques helped the team on the ice so far?
Well, they created a whole new playbook, and we have Coach Brian, our head coach. He's a very good coach. He's been on state championship winning teams and competed for national titles with other teams, and he knows what he's talking about, and we're just trying to learn his new playbook.
The team has a short bench this season. How do you prepare yourself before a game knowing you will have a lot of ice time?
We're all ready to take on that task. We have a lot of off-ice conditioning outside of the rink, and everybody's in shape, and everybody can handle the short bench.
Playing Michigan Tech 2 weekends ago, the team had a lot of bonding time on the bus and during the time spent in Houghton. How did this bonding time help the team come together on the ice?
Like I said, we're a really tight-knit group, but that for sure helped. Everybody bonded. Guys hung out with other guys on the team that they haven't before, and everybody gave each other a chance, and we just grew as a family.
Hopefully that extra team bonding helps the D2 team as they will be back in action this weekend. Thank you, Justin, for joining us on Inside Chippewa Hockey, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
The Division II team will stay at home this weekend for a 2-game homestand against Northwestern. The two teams split last season as the Chippewas lost the first game 4-2, but defeated the Wildcats 4-3 the next day. I'm joined now at the desk with Jared Nyland, one of the play-by-play voices for the D2 team. Last year, D2 split with Northwestern. Jared, what can we expect will be different from last year's game to this year's game?
I think the biggest difference is going to be on the Central Michigan side. They lost all the players who scored goals against Northwestern in the series last year. So I think it's going to be important for guys to step up and put the puck in the back of the net a lot this weekend if they want to see their wins.
How do you think the team will do against Northwestern this year?
I think they'll do pretty well. Both teams have struggled so far this year, with Northwestern being 1-10 and Central Michigan being 0-5. So I think there's a good chance that Central Michigan can get their first win of the season this weekend.
Northwestern is a D3 team. How do you think the Chips will do facing off against a team in a different division?
I think it'll help them a lot this weekend. They face some powerhouses in the D2 section with Adrian and Michigan Tech, so it'll kind of give them a break from playing those really good hockey teams and face a bit of an easier team this weekend.
That'll do it for episode 3 of Inside Chippewa Hockey. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Stay up to date this weekend on the D2, D3, and women's team by going to our website, ChippewaHockeyNetwork.com, and clicking on the Listen Live tab. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for live action as well. Have a great weekend, and as always, fire up Chips.